Welcome. My name is Len Lane, and I am the founder and president of Brokers for Life, Inc., and we are Dominion Lending Centers in Western Canada. The topic of our podcast will be about what we consider to be real-life mortgage solutions. Welcome back. Today, we're going to talk about one of our private lenders. A little different than some of the ones we have done in the past. You probably just heard MCAP recently, and First National will be following this one. So today we are talking to Corey Cardelinni, CMI BDM, a new one, just taking over Northern Alberta. Is that the territory?
Yeah, that's correct.
That's
Alberta,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, Alberta, the whole thing?
Yes.
Yeah, cool. So maybe give us a little background of, welcome to the show, and maybe some background on your time in the industry.
Well, thank you for having me. I was in the industry for about 20 years. I started out underwriting for a B lender, and then was an agent for about 8 years when my kids were small, and then moved back over to the lending side to work for CMI. I've been here for about 3 years, but just recently, as of July, I've moved into this BRM position. So I'm quite excited to be on the BRM role for sure.
So out of the office and away from the daily grind. Well, you probably get as many phone calls now as you did as an underwriter. So
yes, well, I underwrite my own deals as well, right? So
yeah, okay, yeah, right. So that's what your predecessor was doing as well. So maybe let's talk about CMI. How did they start, maybe, and whereabouts? They're located in Toronto, obviously, as head office.
Mississauga, yeah.
Mississauga, almost Toronto. Yeah. So a little bit about their background.
Yeah, so CMI actually started out in 2005 as a family-run brokerage, and then it sort of evolved into a private lender, and we funded over $2.5 billion in mortgages. We lend across Canada, except the territories, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and New Brunswick. We look at doing first mortgages, second mortgages, we have bundles, we'll do bridge financing, equity mortgages. We look at refinances or purchase plus improvements. Basically, look at the overall strength of each file and see how we can get the deals to work.
Is there a particular niche that you guys deal in? I know I've done a few different ones with you. Lower loan to value, but and a little bit farther out of town than normal. Canmore for one, and a couple other ones that we've worked on with you. So, is there a really tight niche that product that they work with? Or?
So we'll go to 80% loan to value in major urban areas. And then in the rural areas, we will look at rural properties as well, but we're looking at more like 65% loan to value. And then, we're basically, our turnaround time is fairly quickly as well. We're pretty good with a quick turnaround time. If you send a deal in the morning, then generally we can get a commitment out to you by the end of the day. So our turnaround time is quite a bit quicker than some of the traditional lenders for sure.
And that's fairly fast for some of them to be turned around within 2 days even is a bit of a stretch for some of the private lenders anyway. I did notice you write probably the most extensive commitment that I've ever seen in the private side. It was kind of refreshing to see because it really did cover every detail that I could think of to explain to the client, right? So, which is good. So, got to make sure that everything gets covered. You did do something for me, which I haven't had much luck with some of the local private lenders, in that interest reserve was not something that they were scared of. Let's put it that way. So,
yeah, we'll do prepayments for the term, or we can also do like a 6-month prepayment and spread that out just to cut their mortgage payments in half to help someone qualify better.
Yeah, we did one where we did a full year, but there was lots of loan to value left in the property, right? So, maybe I know you probably, having been in the industry for a while, you've probably seen quite a different level of client that's coming through for private lending these days, right?
Yeah, definitely. We will pay out foreclosures. We will pay out consumer proposals, property tax arrears. We don't have maximum GDS, TDS requirements. So if it's a situation, we just want to make sure that, it's somebody they're actually able to cover the mortgage payments and their outside debts, but we don't necessarily have a maximum GDS TDS requirement. And we don't have a minimum beacon scores either. So that's another thing. And then for new builds, we will look at using the appraised value over the purchase price. So that helps in some situations as well. If it's a situation where they purchased the property, a couple years ago, and then the value's increased since then, we are able to use the appraised value on those.
No, that's a big help in some parts of the country. I don't think it'll be a big help in Toronto very shortly, especially on the as they're calling them, the dog crate condos. There seems that there's going to be a small flood on the market there, right? So, but yeah, definitely in Alberta, we are on the upslope again so far. See what if we get trumped or not. We'll see what happens with all the things that are going on there as well. So, plus the federal election would be great. So maybe so let's talk. So, do you do any construction, like actual builds?
So just completion. We don't do draw mortgages. We'll do purchase price improvements, or if they just have some renovations they want to do their property. But yeah, we don't do full draw construction mortgages.
Have you rescued any that were already started and they forgot to get a mortgage before they started? Is that something
Yeah,
they'll look at?
We'll look at that on a case by case basis, right? We want to know the reason why they ran out of money, but we will consider it for sure.
Yeah, I usually know the reason. I was in the home building industry for 10 years before mortgages. So I get a lot of them just because people know that I know the difference between their foundation and their roof, basically, in some cases. So we often see that come across our desk here. I don't know. So what other special things do you think that CMI does that makes them stand out a bit in the crowd?
So we can close a deal within 6 business days of getting all documents. And in situations, we've run into situations where people are purchasing a property and then for some reason or another, the financing falls through at the last minute. And for those, we're able to actually close on a rush basis within 4 business days of getting all documents from you. But you do want to make sure in those situations that you do have all the documents up front ready to go so that we are actually able to close within those 4 business days. So there is a slight premium added for rush deals. So if it's a deal that could have closed in 6 days, it would have been more beneficial to do it as a regular deal, right? So We'll go behind a chip to 65% loan to value.
Oh.
We'll also go behind a step, but we do use the registered mortgage amount for the step.
Okay. So if they have a fixed rate and a HELOC, you'd still go to 80% behind that?
Yep, as long as it's based on the registered amount and not the limit. We don't use the global limit for steps.
Yeah. We often counsel our clients on, okay, let's do it as what the mortgage is, because if you do exactly that, if you need something else down the road, that it makes it a little more difficult to add in another 10 or 15% maybe if you really need it. So always good to know that number as well. Don't do it is good as well. So what are those other than land in Saskatchewan?
Yeah. So we won't go behind other private mortgages. We will look at paying them out on a case by case basis. You want to make sure that we have a strong exit strategy, and we don't want to just be taking on someone else's issues, right? So you have to have a strong exit strategy for paying out another private. We don't do industrial zoned properties. And properties where the sole source of heat is a wood-burning stove, or situations where the property is in really poor condition and they have no way to mediate it. They don't have any plans to renovate it. So those are going to be situations that'll be a little tougher for sure.
Yeah, we've definitely seen a few of those over the years. But wood stoves, I guess that's. I know there's it's called a wet certificate you can get for that, but that's. Not surprising. If there's going to be a fire, it's probably going to be from a wood stove, right? Somebody didn't clean the chimney quite correctly. So,
well, we will do properties with them as long as that's not the sole source of heat.
Right. So if they have another furnace or something else, then
that's right.
Probably should explain to people why not Saskatchewan.
So I believe it's because of the foreclosure laws that they have going on there. Basically, it's hard to foreclose if they have a property, they could have even just have a blueberry bush and say that that's their main source of income. And then that's going to just take things a lot longer to foreclose on that property. So
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons for sure.
Yeah. And that law goes back to the dirty 30s, believe it or not, when the banks were trying to foreclose on all the farms during the Depression. It's pretty much impossible. And we've had some good stories of that over the years, where it was as simple as somebody did have 5 acres and they put 5 cows in the backyard, and it became a farm in Saskatchewan, and that was enough to keep it out of foreclosure, right? So so lots of those stories, and nothing in Manitoba. Is that what I also heard?
We're working on Manitoba. We were originally in Manitoba, and then I believe we are looking at getting our commercial approval there. So we are reapplying for both commercial and residential. So I do believe that that should be coming up here soon.
Right. Yeah, we've been licensed there. We're licensed in 6 provinces as well since the day we started, pretty much. But it's we do one deal a year in Manitoba, but the license is only $350, so we're even, right? And it's usually my deal. So big in Toronto. Do they have a lot of money out in the greater Toronto area, given that the markets are changing there so quickly? Is that a concern for them, or?
We're definitely more conservative on the condos, smaller condos in Toronto for sure. We're looking at minimum square footage of about 550. And then anything below that, we would want to for sure have a tag, and that would be sort of a case by case basis if the square footage is below the 550 there.
Yeah. If you read Ron Butler's, he calls those the dog crate apartments, right?
Yeah.
He's always picking on them, and I guess there's something like 50,000 of them coming on the market over the next 2.5 years. So I would be gun shy about those, I think, as well. Or most lenders will be, just to make sure that the covenant is good for them. But they're worth $700,000, which is even crazier. But
some things that we're seeing right now is the appraised values have been coming in lower in some situations. Actually, my last few deals we've had to cut back because the appraisals came in lower. So it's important to not just go by what the borrower thinks or the borrower hopes the property's worth, right? You do a little investigating.
A lot. And that's interesting, because I think if you saw I don't know if you follow me on LinkedIn or not, but the latest thing that came out was that, let me just read it to you here. There's a big change in the way that the appraisers now have to word things. So it was on Mortgage Logic News, which I start my day with 2 things, BNN and Mortgage Logic News usually. So they're talking about the way that appraisers now have to word their documents, right? So, sometimes when we're dealing with private deals, that it may take more than one opportunity to try a different lender or something like that to make sure that it fits. So they've actually changed the appraisals now, where they have to, if how we do a transmittal letter, right? Mm-hmm. They call it something else in the write-up they did, but so it's being worded that it now has to be. So they call it a reliance letter. I'm assuming that must be Ontario speak for mortgages. Right. Appraiser referred to change. So they're talking about how the lenders or the appraisers are now almost putting it to the point where it's only good for the person and the lender that we had it done for originally. A lot of times, of course, when I'm doing private deals, I'll have it made out to my brokerage first and then do a transmittal, or some of them will just change to the lender that we end up with, right? So there's some big changes coming in the wording of who can use that appraisal, right? So be curious to see what that looks like for the lenders coming down the pipe as well. Plus, they're adding some things that I never thought would really matter, and one of them is there an EV charger in the house? So you got to add them. They're about $600 to $2,000, depending on where you get it done. But and the other part is they're talking about energy rating. So energy rating can only be done by somebody who has a certificate to do the air balancing in the house and do the test. So I don't know how an appraiser is going to figure out that one. Right?
Oh, yeah, that'd
What's
be
the
interesting.
energy rating? Yeah, who knows, right? I'm an appraiser, not a mechanical engineer. But yeah, so lots of changes coming in the appraisals. But yeah, so we use Purview quite a bit. We have a Purview account. So when we use one account, and and then if the agents are doing private stuff, we usually at least try to get an idea of how much that the property is worth before we actually start the process. So yes, because clients will always think that it's worth a lot more than maybe that it will even appraise for, right? So
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah. So when do you make your next trip to Northern Alberta?
Actually, I will be out there March 11th for the AMBA. They're having a bowling event out there. So,
oh yeah, there we go. We're not
meet up
AMBA
for
members.
coffee or something if you're free.
Yeah, let me know. By all means, are you going to be here during the 12th as well?
You mean March 12th? Yep.
Yeah. That day we have our live training. So we actually, once in the spring and once in the fall, we get everybody together, and then people are basically coming in from as far away as North Battleford and Grand Prairie and Calgary. So we have a couple agents down that way as well. So if you're around, by all means, track us down, and we'll be at the West End. We're doing a 9 a.m. till about 2 o'clock, and we'll be doing live training sessions all through that day. But you could pop in and say hi. That would be great that day. So just email Margie. She'll send you the details. Just maybe pop in and have a coffee with everybody.
Yeah, that sounds great for sure.
Always good to put a face to the name, right? That's always the hard part. And if you're just starting out in the north part of the country, there's definitely a lot of people here. So 38 agents on the team, variety of different places, literally from Grand Prairie to North Battleford and from Fort McMurray to Calgary. So we've got the province pretty well covered. We have a couple in Southern Ontario as well now. So they moved back, which was interesting. So definitely have lots of places where CMI lends. So that's always good to see. So.
Perfect.
Hey, well, thanks for your time today. It's like I said, good to put a face to the name and a voice, at least for everybody that's listening. And so have a good day and stay warm in Southern Alberta.
Thanks. You too.
Thanks for listening today. I hope you found the information that we provided to be useful in your mortgage journey. And remember, you can always find our associates at www.brokersforlife.ca/associates. Have a great day.